Unity is said to be the absolute truth. And if all is one, then even as self-ignorant, deluded humans, we are all tiny little fragments and expressions of God trying to know ourselves. Incarnation after incarnation, the soul dances its evolution through the play of life, spiraling back to the truth, ultimately seeking to wake up in the dream of duality.
But let's just be real here for a second, because dualistic reality, as we know it, has a big apparent absence of unity for most of us, and it happens to feel very real. So, oneness remains nothing more than an incomprehensible concept to the human mind, and nothing more than a fanciful word, really. As Lao Tzu alluded to in the Tao Te Ching,
The Tao that can be told of is not the eternal Tao.
so, in order to actually sense, realize, and experience an ungraspable concept, we can start by using what we can understand and allow that to deliver us ever closer to the truth of who we are. So, I'm speaking of a method of following truth by first figuring out what is not true. And this is a process of eradication. And it just seems like it's a natural byproduct of the awakening process for many anyway.
For example, upon setting out on the spiritual path, we intellectually realize that life isn't quite how we thought it was. So we let go of our old perception of reality and we think, wow, I am not just a body. And then we come to see that our conditioning and our past pain does not define us. So we unravel all of that and we begin to let that identity go. And we also begin to awaken to witness consciousness. So we watch our thoughts and emotions and we realize, wow, I'm not the voice in my mind because I can watch the voice in my mind. And so we just go deeper and deeper. And we're just plucking our identity out of the layers of delusion into the next layer. But we begin to really sense and intellectually understand the false self, the fictional character, as it reveals itself to us. Nothing false will survive, and nothing true will perish. Jed McKenna.
So, just trying to avoid the sun a bit. So, I have personally found that this process of elimination runs so deep. And throughout my journey, I am constantly asked to face deeper and deeper realizations of what I am not. And a lot of this, it means recognizing egoic identities that are merely posing as truth.
Think about when you're sleeping and you wake up from a dream. You thought the dream was real, and then you woke up into this human life, and then you think that this is real, but this is just another dream. Oftentimes, when we begin on this journey, we think that we are waking up, but the ego is just establishing another identity, another resting place in another dream.
So, whether we have found an identity within a group and within some sort of dogmatic belief system, whether we have established an identity as a spiritual person, or whether a sneaky one, the ego, creates this egoic identity as I am pure awareness, eventually we have to admit to ourselves that the ego is running the show and it's operating in incognito. But it's just established itself a new identity. And it can be so jarring because you just see the layers of self-ignorance and you see how sneaky the ego is. And, you know, through this inevitable process of elimination, you just have to keep saying, that's not it. That's not it. And yet it can be jarring because it can feel like a bit of an identity crisis at times, as these egoic identities that we establish, as they begin to crumble. It can feel like a death is occurring, and it can leave us feeling lost and directionless. But as Wendell Berry said, when we no longer know where to go, we have come to our real journey.
In Hindu philosophy, they call this process of eradication neti-neti. This Sanskrit word translates to not this and not that. Neti-neti involves an analytical meditation into the nature of self through identifying what we are not. And this is what's known as the negative method, because we uncover what we are not in order to realize what we are.
I actually feel that this eradication process is perfectly coupled with a more positive approach of just letting go of the intellectual mind completely and learning to rest in pure awareness, learning to let the mind go completely. And I've actually found that through this process of realizing what I am not, sitting there in pure awareness is the closest thing I have to truth. It's the closest thing I have to non-duality. Because when I'm resting in pure awareness, there is no mind, and so there is no dualistic world. There is no me and my story. So I'm so thankful for this process of eradication, because it's brought me to this practice of pure awareness. And I've fallen in love with resting in pure awareness.
So, to conclude, I feel that this process of eradication cannot be avoided on the spiritual path, and it's a great tool that can actually direct us to higher truth. But as the Zen Buddhist proverb says, the finger pointing to the moon is not the moon.
Making these distinctions between what is true and what is not true can certainly illuminate the path, and it can point us in the right direction to the moon, so to speak, or our essential nature beyond duality. So thank you so much for watching this video. My name's Jasmine. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye 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 bye!